Hey guys, Josiah here. I was actually watching one of my subscriptions videos yesterday. His name is Eugene. You might also know him as the Blue Hour. And if you don't, you should check out his channel. He's got a lot of good content. But yesterday he posted a video about the 5 best and the 5 worst qualities about yourself. So I thought I would follow up with that in a video on my 5 best and worst qualities. Um, it's probably not going to last more than 2 minutes, but that's all right. I figured it's at least worth a shot. Um, so I'm going to start out with the best qualities. The first one is that I'm usually a good listener, and by that I mean I enjoy being able to hear what people have to say, and also um, when I know that people will come to me for advice or whatever, that it makes me feel like I'm doing my job. Um, so there's that. Another thing, and this is only as of recently that I've really started hammered this one down, is being on time. I'm always at least 5 minutes early for everything, and that's because up until recently, I used to be late for just about everything, and it was when I started realizing that I was taking a lot of people off by not being there on time when they'd have to wait for me, or they sometimes even had to cancel plans because I wasn't showing up. And so it finally hit me that I was not making people very happy with that. And so since then, I've been on time to a fault, especially at work. The policy changed, so I can't be there as early as I was being, but I'm still there at least 5 minutes early. And same with classes, I'm always there at least 10 to 5 minutes early. And the reason for that also is that usually professors, when they notice you're there on time, will be more inclined to give you maybe bump your grade up a little bit at the end of the semester if they can see that you are committed to their class. So there's that. Kind of go along with the first one. My third point is that I enjoy trying to cheer people up, or just in general encourage them or make them laugh. That's just it's something in my nature. I enjoy being able to think that man, I made somebody's day a little bit brighter. It sounds corny, but that's just how it is. Another thing, I tend to stay very committed to stuff, and this can be a good thing and a bad thing. On the good side, and the bad side I'll talk about in my worst qualities. Um, on the good side, I'm very committed to my job, and now that I'm back in school, I can't be quite as dedicated to it because school takes priority now. But this past year, I worked full time, and I was there for them anytime they needed help. So it's one of those things that I like being able to know that people can depend on me, um, and I'll go into more of the bad side of that later. And the last thing is that I tend to be very patient, and this it tends to be a good thing. Like when I'm at work, there are a lot of people there who tend to try to push your buttons a little bit, and most people would have very short fuse with that. I tend to think, well, all right, this person maybe has stuff going on outside of this job that I don't know about, and I tend to kind of give them a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt and think, well, if I blow up at them, I'm just going to add the list of people that they're ticked off at today, and so I usually try to avoid going off or doing something irrational without thinking about it first. So those are like my 5 best qualities. My worst qualities, a couple of them are actually pretty similar to the best ones. Like you, Eugene, I do tend to actually assume or generalize stuff, and this is definitely a bad thing. Um, I'll actually just even looking at people, the way that they look back at me, I'm like, oh no, they're mad at me. Even if it has what their attitude is about has nothing to do with me. And that can be a problem because then I kind of have a chip on my shoulder towards somebody who never had an issue with me in the first place. And it has gotten a little bit out of hand before, and people were like, dude, what was your issue? And it's something I'm working on. It still is a problem, but I have gotten better with that. So another thing is that I tend to get angry for no reason, and it's not like irrational anger. Usually, I'll pick on something just because I've got something else on my mind, and in order to distract myself from it, I find something about my day or something that happened that I'm just like, that bugs the bejesus out of me, and so I'll focus on that all day. And usually, people will avoid me because of that, which makes it a little bit easier to just get about my day, do my thing, and then go home or do whatever else I had planned. Um, but that's a bad habit. I'm still working on it, but you know it's one of those things. I'm just like, oh shoot. Another thing, screensaver just came on. Another thing is that very often I have very little confidence in myself, and I'm not talking so much about like in front of people because I can actually talk to people. I work in customer service. I love being able to talk to people and kind of give them directions or instructions and stuff. But I mean more of when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh, you look, oh, today, and it's just habit. I've almost trained my mind to look at certain things about my face, the rest of my body, that I'm just like, oh man, dude, you got so far to go. Nobody's gonna like you. Nobody's gonna be attracted to you, and it's like recently it's kind of hit me. I'm like, you're never gonna get anywhere in life if you're constantly demeaning yourself, if you're looking down at yourself, and I'm just taking it for what it's worth now. Like I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, all right, you are who you are. That why don't you just leave it at that? If you can improve yourself, great. But as you are now, be content with that. Aim for higher, but be content with that. So that's another thing that I'm working on. Still kind of a bad quality. And another thing, well, actually, my last thing is that I always feel like I have to defend myself, and it's just kind of along the line of like excuses. Um, where someone will point out something that maybe I didn't necessarily do wrong, but I probably could have done it differently. And I'll sit there and try to justify it. Well, I did it this way because blah blah blah, and I'll list off a reason. And it's like, why don't you just, instead of trying to defend your self confidence or whatever, just take it for what it's worth. That maybe they were trying to help you out. So that's what something I've been working on lately. It's frustrating because a lot I like I said earlier, I have a very low self confidence still, and so I usually take when people say stuff like that as being kind of like a personal assault, not an assault, but just that they're trying to demean you a little bit. So that's a bad habit. Still working on it, but this video actually turned out to be a lot longer than I was planning. But hopefully you guys were able to get a little bit better idea of a little bit about me, like my personality, some of my quirks. And if you have any questions or whatever, feel free to ask me. And I'd actually like to see some of you guys post a video in response to this. Eugene, I hope you watch this. Um, I have no idea. I want to get I want to be able to get to know people a little bit better instead of just thinking of people as subscribers or subscriptions. So yeah, like you said, Eugene, a little bit of community can't hurt. So yep, guys, thanks for watching. This wasn't one of my usual tech-related videos, but I wanted to make one anyways. So thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe or leave me comments or questions, and I will do my best to get back to you. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh yeah, and by the way, for those of you who noticed behind me, my blinds, or what's left of them, is the result of the windstorm we had yesterday in Ohio. It was probably one of the worst windstorms I've ever been around. I could barely walk outside. Outside there, last night I ended up falling asleep to hearing the sound of like an electrical fire. It was pretty sweet. Not actually. Most of the neighborhoods around here without power. Somehow I managed to be inside of like a block of about 10 houses that still had power all night last night. So my thoughts go out to everybody who doesn't have power right now because I've been in that situation before. It's no good. But yeah,